Well, today I am in California and I have the opportunity to drive the Jeep Wagoneer S. And what I'm going to do in this video is I'm going to do a brief walk around of the vehicle, interior and exterior. Then we're going to dive right into the things that I like and the things that I don't like. My name is Jill Simonello with Pickup Truck Plus SUV Talk. Let's take a closer look at the Jeep Wagoneer S right now. Now, the vehicles we are driving today are the launch edition models. So this is going to be the top tier trim with all of the whistles and bells. They are going to announce other trims and additions coming up, but this is what you got right now. And the price of this vehicle is going to be about $72,000. Now, the first thing that you're going to notice is you've got the headlight treatment and then the light bar that goes across. And I don't know if you can really see it, but you've got on the 7-slot grille that comes down, you have just a little bit of a dip down that shows the light coming down and will illuminate at night. I mean, it's getting a little cloudy here in California, but you can't quite see it yet. So you've got fog lights, you've got your headlights, you've got your daytime running lights, and it makes a pretty nice profile. Now, one of the things that we asked during the press preview was why Wagoneer? Why are you calling this Wagoneer? Well, Jeep is in the process of rebranding, and they are going to do a three-pronged strategy of luxury, mainstream, and off-road capability. So Wagoneer, so this right here is supposed to be the luxury arm of the brand. And so even though the large Grand Wagoneer and Wagoneer bear the same Wagoneer name, you know, the Wagoneer S is going to also have a lot of luxury amenities and luxe level features that play into it. Thus, it falls into the bucket of Wagoneer. Coming around to the back really quick, we'll just look at this lighting signature. So again, you have the light bar that goes across the back, and you will notice this rear spoiler. It's very large, very aggressive, but the reason why they did that is to have a really good coefficient of drag for aerodynamics, and this has essentially the best aerodynamics of a vehicle in its class right now. Now, what class is this? This is going to be a mid-size SUV. Now, so what's really interesting is, you know, Jeep really wants you to think of this vehicle as more of a mid-size SUV that also happens to be electric. They said they really designed this to be a Jeep first that also happens to be electric. All right, so you've got the nice little Wagoneer S badge there. And you know, I will hop in and we will take a quick look at the interior. So you do have ambient lighting that goes across and kind of frames the edge, and it comes across this edge here. And you have 64 different color capability adjustments in order to make this color the exact color that you want. You do have a passenger screen, and we'll get into that a little bit later, which you can turn it on and off from here. And you can pair your phone, you can do navigation functions from this, you can do, you can look at the different camera angles on here, and you can, you know, in a way, essentially be a co-pilot. So if you were in an off-road situation or a tight city situation, you could pull the cameras up here, and you can also look and help your driver navigate any tight spaces. I mean, your driver should be able to do that, but sometimes it's just helpful to have a helping hand. So you do have the camera angles here, and you can kind of play around with what you're looking at. In addition to if you needed to do a pit stop someplace, you could program in the destination. If you wanted coffee or a restaurant or something like that, you can do all that from here, and then it would transfer over to here. So if you wanted to mirror what was on your phone and watch it there, I will say you do have to plug into the HDMI port here in order to mirror what you're watching there. Now, what you're seeing here is they've put like a reflective sheen on this, so the driver can't get distracted by what the passenger is doing. So you come as the passenger in front of it, and yes, it's still reflective, but the passenger can see what's going on. And then when you come over here, you know, the driver cannot see what's going on in that screen. So if the passenger is watching a movie or something like that. All right, you may have noticed this right here, which is the new comfort screen that they have. So this will do some climate control features, but it also is in charge of the massage function. So you have the opportunity to do front and like driver and passenger massages. And if you select it and you turn it on, I will say this works really well, and it has it's pretty strong. It's pretty strong. I was thoroughly enjoying this massage functionality. In terms of your climate controls, I mean, it works the way that you would think that it would work. You do have, you know, the different zones that pop up. What I find really interesting about it is even if you want access to your bin and you just want to pop this up or leave this in the up position, you still have access to your temperature controls and your zones and things like that. The only thing you really don't have access to is your massaging seat. And so when you flip it back down, then you get access to your massaging seat again. So that's kind of a clever little feature. And then in this little hidey hole here, you've got your HDMI and some USB-C charging ports. Now, what's really interesting is you have your wireless charger right here, and it's a pad that just kind of slots in, and there's a little grippy thing that will hold onto your phone and keep it in place. And it's designed, let's see, you can see it a little bit better like that. It's designed to essentially free up space, because if you have your charging pad in here, that means you can't put anything in there. And the sun is going down, so, well, not going down, it's just getting really cloudy. So I put my sunglasses in here, and then, you know, if I wanted to, I could just shut that back up again. So this has 45 inches of screen space. So this is 12.3 inches, this is 12.3 inches, this is like 10.25 inches, and this right here is also 10.25 inches. It is very shiny, I'm not gonna lie to you, it is very shiny, but other than the passenger screen, I really haven't noticed any reflective issues. I've always been able to see what's behind the screen on, you know, behind the wheel on this screen here, and I've always been able to see what's going on here. And it was sunny earlier. I will put that out there. Now, the other thing that I want to point out that they've done on the interior is they've changed the shape of the steering wheel, and that was so that when you are behind the, you know, in the driver's seat, you can actually see all of the cluster information. So when they had just a round steering wheel, it was blocking some of your view, and so they did what they were calling a squircle steering wheel, so that you have the visibility of everything that's going on in the behind the wheel space. So that is just a quick look at the interior. You do have, you know, the dual pane moonroof, and you have a lot of room in the second row seats. And we will now take a closer look and dig into the things that I like, and yeah, some of the things that I don't like. And yes, that's a hint. All right, now it is time for me to jump into the things that I like about the Jeep Wagoneer S. And I'm going to tell you, I think I have more things on my like list than my do not like list. Yeah, but keep in mind, I've only had about 2-3 hours with this vehicle, so take it all with a grain of salt. All right, let's start with this, shall we? I'm about 5 feet tall, I weigh about 95 pounds, and I'm petite. I am the 5th percentile female. I am the lowest common denominator that automotive designers typically design for, and they did a really good job in this instance. I feel like I have a really good distance between the steering wheel and my breastbone. There's certainly more than 12 inches here. I feel like I have just an overall good position. It's comfortable, the seats are comfortable, the headrests don't push my head forward, you know, they're supportive, and the seats themselves are really kind of comfortable, and they kind of like hold you in place well. I also really appreciated the fact that this has a thigh bolster adjustment. So the seat bottom itself can get longer or shorter for different types of drivers to make you comfortable. I love that feature, and I love the fact that they've made it short enough that it's comfortable for me. and then you can make it longer for somebody who's taller. So I really like my driving position, and I like the visibility that I have out of all of these windows. So that is going to be the first thing that I like. And now it's time to take a closer look at everything that's going on here. There's a lot to like. All right, so I am just going to start with all of the screens that you have going on in this space, and we will start here. So you have the ability to configure this screen a little bit. I've got it set up right now so that the map is behind the wheel. And that means I could have my Apple CarPlay up, I could be playing podcasts, listening to music, doing something else, but my directions are still going to show up in this behind the wheel cluster. It works really well, and I like it. So that is how I prefer to set it up. But if you want to do something different, you can hit this button and you can kind of scroll through some different options in terms of what the screen visibility will look like. So like I said, I prefer to have it like that, but if you wanted to have a more traditional setup, then you can kind of scroll through and show what ends up in the middle. And if I were going to keep it in this, I would probably put the infotainment, or the info screen back there with the time, distance, fuel economy average, that kind of thing. So this screen, you have Uconnect 5 in here, which means you have wireless Apple CarPlay. You have this really nice menu right here so that you can easily go into your Apple CarPlay, or you can go into your, I've got to give that a little bit harder of a press, your vehicle settings, your apps, you know, your home button area. So I like the fact that you have the navigation, and then you can easily go back into your Apple CarPlay at any time. I think this is a well done, well thought out integration of Apple CarPlay and Android Auto. It does have also wireless Android Auto, and I like the fact that it's easy. And if you've ever driven a Stellantis vehicle, Uconnect 5 is not going to be unfamiliar. You do have a volume knob and a tuning dial, so you can crank it up or, you know, crank it down, switch your channel. And then you can also, you know, go into your media and your sources, and you can scroll through things, you know, and hit your different options like that. So I like the ease and the intuitivity. Yeah, I'm making that a word, of all of the infotainment system. You also have a redundancy of climate controls. So you do have the ability to turn your heated seats, heated steering wheel, cooled seats on from here. You can do it from here. And then you can also adjust your temperature from here. But you also have your climate controls down here. So they're calling this your comfort screen. And I gotta move the water bottle. So they're calling this a comfort screen. And you can see you do have, you know, the different climate controls here on the bottom. But primarily this screen manages your massage functionality. So if you're not gonna have a seat massage, you can turn the screen off. Or you can even go like that, and this gives you access to a storage bin here, and you still have all of your climate controls right there. Now, you have noticed this is a little bit reflective and a little bit shiny. You can still see what's going on, but yes, I hear you. I hear what you're saying. So let's see, we'll put this in drive. And if I were going to drive and I put on my blinker, you have like a little bit of a blind view camera that pops up in your center screen. If you hit your left indicator, then it shows what's on the left side of the vehicle. So I'm always a huge fan of a second, third, fourth set of eyes, and this gives you a really good view. If you take it into reverse, your rear view camera pops up, and you have some abilities to change your view or your angle so that you can see what's going on to get through a situation or to get around an obstacle of some sort. So I like the camera angles, I like the camera views, and I will say this has really good definition as well. Pop this into park and let's talk about details. They have really thought about the details on this vehicle, from the stitching to the materials used. You'll notice there is no black lacquer here around the gear shift area. You have a nice aluminum finish here. I just soft padded materials on the dash with a nice stitching. You know, the seats have some intricate and nice stitching on it. You've got some two-tone stitching, so you've got a little bit of a blue and then a red, and then you've got the textured piping. And I think that they've done a really good job overall with the details and the material choices for this vehicle. I mean, look at the gear shift knob. Now you do still have a dial here for your gear shift, but I like it, and it's very solid to touch. What I appreciate is you don't have anything else in this area that is similarly sized, so you're not going to confuse it for anything else. Sometimes when they put shifters on the column, or they have a dial here, they'll have like another dial, or you'll have your wipers right here. And I mean, it is muscle memory. Owners would get used to all of the things, but why confuse the situation? And so I like the fact that you have a dial here, but then if you wanted to toggle through your drive modes, you actually have a switch. This is your on-off, and again, it's a button. So there's no confusing anything that's going on here, and I like the intuitivity of that. Yeah, I think I just used that word again. Now this is probably going to shock the heck out of you, but another thing that I really like is the wireless charger. So let's talk about the location first. I like that the location is here, and you know, so it's easy if you need to reach your phone, you can just grab your hand back and go like this, you know, and it frees up space down here, so you don't have to worry about putting a charging pad under here. You know, instead you do have your USB ports, and then you could set your phone in here if you wanted to. But charging pad is right here. You have little bubbles that will hold your phone into place. So you slide it down and then it locks in place so it stays charging. It doesn't move around in the space. But what I really like is it did not overheat my phone. Finally, I feel like somebody has heard me. I feel heard. This is not overheating your phone. There's a vent or a cool pad under here that works. And I kept my phone in here the entire time, whether I was driving or I was a passenger, and my phone never felt hot to the touch. It didn't stop charging. It didn't overheat. This is a charging pad that actually works. So I'm going to give Jeep a huge thumbs up for the location and the actual usage of this wireless charger. And you never, well, not never, you rarely hear me give kudos to a wireless charger, but this finally is one that works. Now I'm going to talk about this a little bit more in my driving impressions, but the last thing that I really like about the Jeep Wagoneer S is handling and acceleration. This has 600 horsepower, so of course this has some really, really good acceleration, and it is instantaneous. Hallelujah for an electric vehicle. But we drove on a lot of twisty bits, and this held its lane really well for a mid-size SUV. Now, a lot of that is going to be due to the fact that, yep, you have the battery underneath, so lower center of gravity and all of that, but it did really well. It did really well. So ride and handling is also going to be on the like list. And in fact, that finishes out the things that I want to mention that I like about the Wagoneer S. It is now time for me to transition to the things that I don't like. And as I alluded to earlier, there are fewer things that I don't like, but there are still a couple of things. All right, we are going to start my do not like list with this right here, the cup holders. So, okay, you do have an average size cup of, this is tea, but coffee, and that will fit in here really fine. It pops into place, it's held really well, and that's exactly what you want for something that has like an open spout. You don't want it to spill when you turn a corner. This, however, is the water that they gave us today, and yeah, this, does not get held into place by the prongs. And as soon as you turn a corner, it's like, woo, let me spill this all over you. So we moved it to the doors, but as you can see, whenever you open or close the door, because it's open, spilled water in there too. So there is no good place to hold a skinny can of water, soda, whatever. And I just, if they could just pop these out just a little bit more, that would take care of the problem. I don't understand why this is a problem. I don't understand why more automakers don't do better with the prongy things on the cup holders. So that is the first thing that I don't like. Moving into the passenger seat, the next thing that I don't like is the implementation of the passenger screen. Now, I really like the idea of this in theory because you have the ability to go in and look at some different things like your camera views and your, setting up your navigation and, audio things, and you can wire your phone in with an HDMI cord and it'll mirror what's going on up here. But the reflectivity is almost prohibitive. And I will say it does look more reflective on camera than it does with me just sitting here in the seat. And I do have this, like the brightness turned all the way up, so it can't get any brighter. So on a really sunny day, I don't know. I don't know how usable this is going to be. If you have one of these screens, I would love for you to comment below and tell me, because this is in the Ram RHO. It is in the Wagoneer. I believe it's in the Grand Cherokee. This is in more vehicles in the Stellantis lineup than just the Wagoneer S. So if you have one of these screens, I would love for you to talk about it in the comments below. If it's reflective or if it's just me projecting, I don't know. So, if you don't want to use the screen, you don't have to, and there's a button right here. You just turn it off. And before anybody comments about, oh, the airbags are going to go off and the screen's going to hit you in the face, that is not one of the things that I don't like. Because, by the way, the airbags are going to come out of the top of the dash, and this is never going to be affected if an airbag goes off. So wipe that from your mind. That is not a problem. The problem for me is the reflectivity, and if this is actually usable for a passenger in a practical sense. Yeah, I don't know. Comment below. Let me know. If you have one of these, I would love to know. Now for the last two things on Do Not Like list, we have to move to the outside of the vehicle. And I don't know if you're really going to be able to see this, but there is like a little pad right here, but you can see there's a gap. My fingernail is fitting in the gap between the pad that you press to open the door and then this actual door handle. And pretty much every time I went to go to open the door, so you stick your hand in here and you open it, I had my hand like this and it was pinching my fingers with this little gap between the actual press pad and the door handle. So, I'd go like this and then I'm pinching my fingers. It's literally pinching my fingers right now as I open the door. And the first time I did it, it was just a little bit, I was taken aback by that. Let's be clear. So, and it pinches like right here. And I don't know. I don't, like, do you angle your hand different? I mean, so maybe you would operate differently, but for how I'm opening the door, like I'm pinching my fingers every time. So like, let me give it a good pinch. So can you see where it was pinching my fingers? Right there. I don't know. I don't like that. So a little bit of something that may need some tweaking. Now the final thing on my Do Not Like list is not going to be the cargo area itself, because I think they've done a great job. There's 30.6 cubic feet of cargo volume back here. No spare tire. I'll be honest, no spare tire, but you have a nice little Easter egg underneath the carpet. No spare tire, but you do have some underfloor storage in here. No, all of that is stuff that I like. What I don't like is if you need to fold these seats flat in order to get the 60 cubic feet of cargo volume, there is no way back here that you can unlatch those seats. I would like to see a button or a lever or something that would just manually release those seats from here. It doesn't even need to be power operated. I'd be totally cool if there was not a power operation, but just the ability to release these seats, to push them forward, would be super helpful if you are trying to load cargo back here and need a little extra space. So picking a little bit of a nit there because, okay, let's see, how difficult is it? You come around, you pinch your finger when you open the door, but you know, maybe let me move my backpack, move my tripod, don't need that. But you just, that's not hard. It is really not hard, but it would just be nice if there was a way to do it from back here. That's all I'm saying. Just something for you to consider in a $72,000 car. A way to release your seats from back here would be extra. It would be nice. All right, it is now time for me to do some brief driving impressions. And keep in mind, I have literally only been behind the wheel for about an hour and a half. But what I want to say is I have a really good driving position. I have excellent visibility out of all of the windows, and these seats are really comfortable. And yes, I have played around with the massaging seats, and they get 2 thumbs up from me. I've been playing around with the one pedal driving. I certainly like the more aggressive max regen version, but what's really great about it is you can turn it off. I know there's a lot of people out there that don't like one pedal driving, so you don't have to have it. I think this is fast, it's fun. I mean, 600 horsepower, of course it's going to be fast and fun. So, I mean, as an electric vehicle, this is both functional and fun to drive. I don't want to ramble on too much because, yeah, I've only had an hour and a half behind the wheel. I'm hoping I will get more time soon, so we'll be more expository at that point. But if I had to summarize and put this into a neat little package, I would say this is a comfortable but fun mid-sized SUV that will fit your family and their stuff. And you're just gonna have fun driving it. So that is what I have for you today in the Jeep Wagoneer S. Thanks for watching, and I will see you down the road.